Recently I installed Neverwinter Nights 1 on my Windows 7 PC and found out that you can't use the in-game cinematics when playing on Windows 7, so I found them in the game files. I figured not everyone will be able to do this, so here are all the cinematics for Neverwinter Nights, including all the expansions, but not the credits.
The Frozen North, the name given to the stark and unforgiving frontier that lies beyond the high moor of Faerun. A bleak wilderness where barbarian clans and tribes of giants roam the land and fierce dragons rule the skies. But amidst the frozen savagery stands a bastion of civilization, the city of Neverwinter, Jewel of the North. Behind the city's high walls, those both hardy and brave carve out an existence from this bleak land under the guidance and protection of the legendary hero, Lord Nasher Alagonda. Yet there are some things that all the courage in the world cannot stand against. A virulent plague swept the city, a terrible affliction that began in the beggar's nest. Soon, all of Neverwinter would feel the touch of the wailing death. The disease could not be cured. Panic ensued. The streets erupted into violence. The Jewel of the North was brought to its knees. To save Neverwinter, Lady Aribeth de Tilmarand, Paladin of Tyr, and Lord Nasher's right hand put forth the call for a champion. A rush of would-be heroes answered her call, some drawn by promises of grandeur and glory, others by the lure of gold. Those with the greatest potential were initiated into the academy to train and study under the greatest minds of Neverwinter, all in the hopes a champion might emerge to save the city from the wailing death, and whatever sinister force might be behind it. In one brutal attack, the promise of those at the Academy had been all but snuffed out. Hope disappeared with the Waterdavian creatures, and the weight of the terrible sickness pressed down on the city once more. Even more chilling, the whispered rumors of enemies seeking to destroy Neverwinter from within had proved true, though the identity of those responsible for the slaughter was as yet unknown. Still, a flicker of hope yet remained, for not all had died in the attack. From the bloody carnage at the Academy, a survivor had stepped forward, a champion to carry the torch in this darkest hour. Dester's punishment was brutal, but his death brought little satisfaction. The horrors of the wailing death could not be undone with his execution. Those that had suffered now turned on each other. They looked for someone to blame, and found it in Dester's closest friend, Fenthic. The letter of the law found him negligent, and he was hanged as a sacrifice to appease the bloodthirsty mob. If any thought the sentence unjust, they remained silent. Duty required all to act as one. It was not the time for divided loyalties. The cult behind Dester's treachery still had to be found. The hunt led to the coastal town of Port Last. From here, the heroes of Neverwinter would continue the search for those behind the Wailing Death, and vengeance would be taken. Within the host tower of the Arcane, the enemy was finally revealed. Morgrim Korothir, Madman, Prophet, the one responsible for the Wailing Death. And with this revelation, a second betrayal. Erebeth, driven mad by her lover's execution, sought vengeance by joining Morgrim's cause. Together, they roused a fearsome army and prepared to descend upon Neverwinter. But an even greater evil threatened the city. The words of power, remnants of ancient magic long forgotten, were being sought by Morgrim's followers to bring devastation to the north. Neverwinter's champions were sent to the northern wastes of the Uthgard tribes to unearth these lost artifacts. For if Morgrim were to find the words of power first, the city of the north would surely fall. The words of power, the tools of a creator race. Hadriline spoke of them as though they could shape worlds, and perhaps they had. With these in hand, victory would not be far behind, or so it was thought. While Eringend searched for the ancient relics, Morgrim's army pressed their attacks against Neverwinter. Their dark magics and sheer numbers soon overwhelmed the defenders. The betrayer, Erebeth, was at the forefront when the walls were breached. The words of power, once thought safe within Castle Never, were in danger of falling to the enemy. And behind the invasion, an even greater evil, Morag, Queen of the Old Ones, had awoken. In the end, victory. Without Morag, the Source Stone crumbled, and the great empire of the Old Ones was finally laid to rest. The deaths of these ancients could be felt throughout Neverwinter. Deprived of Morag's influence, the invading army faltered. The siege was soon turned. The toll of the battle had been high, but Neverwinter would not be consumed by grief or regret. Too many had already made that mistake. The city would rebuild and move forward. And what of the honored champion who had fought so hard while others fell? Their story does not end here, for this is a world of infinite tales. New adventures still await, and new legends are yet to be forged.
Hilltop, one of many small villages that dot the most remote regions of the northern wildlands, known as the Silver Marches. Few would choose so cold and inhospitable a land to make their home. Only those seeking a new life, or to escape their past. It is in Hilltop that your mentor, Master Drogan, chose to settle after a lifetime of adventure. Here, he would pass on his knowledge to you, and a select few others with promise. It is here that evil comes in the shadows, and behind it, a sinister purpose that will see your own promise either realized in full or extinguished forever. The caravan makes slow progress as it leaves Hilltop, trudging through snowy hills for several weeks, before finally, the vast wasteland of the Anarok Desert opens up before you. This is a parched land, said to be the bones of the once great Netheril Empire, its complete destruction a mystery, lost to the passing of ages. Mythalar is hers, at long last. What follows is the oldest of Netherese rituals, lost to time but unearthed from the sands by Hordes, and now used by her to access the power of the Mythalar in full. You know that it is only a matter of time before Undrentide responds to her urging, the power of the Mythalar forcing the city to rise slowly through the sands of the Anarok, forcing it to take to the skies as it once did so long ago. The groaning city begins to lean in its flight like a wounded bird. The crash into the ground that marks the second fall of Undrentide is heard and felt throughout Faerun. Most folk will stop and wonder and never know how close Hordes is to dominating them through the sheer power of the long-buried past. Some, however, such as the Harpers, know well the part you played in Hordes' end. They name you a hero, and throughout the realms, songs are sung of the sacrifices that you and Drogon made for them all. As for your own fate after escaping into the plane of shadow, it is unknown, even to the Harpers. The slave collar shattered on Ashtara's death, so you are free. Wherever your adventures lead you, however, one thing is certain. Your own tale is far from over.
Waterdeep, one of the greatest cities in all of Faerun. It is home to a multitude of peaceful townfolk from all races and all walks of life. Beneath Waterdeep, however, lies a different realm. This is the deep dungeon known as Undermountain. Built by the mad wizard Halaster. Here, Halaster tests adventurers who trespass therein with the deadliest of traps and the most dangerous of creatures. All but the luckiest meet their deaths in its dark halls. Regardless of this presence beneath them, the people of Waterdeep feel safe enough. For while one may enter Undermountain, it is rare that anything actually comes out. Until now. For there is another realm that exists beneath even Undermountain, a place of shadows and evil known only as the Underdark. It is here that the sinister dark elves known as the Drow rule next to other subterranean horrors unknown to most on the surface world above. And it is the Drow who now lead an army of these creatures into the streets of Waterdeep, besieging the city from below in a campaign of blood and terror. And in their darkest hour, the lords of Waterdeep have issued a call for a hero, someone who can face these dark elves and all their brethren in their own land, someone who can defeat the Hordes of the Underdark.